I like me some Song of Ice and Fire lore. I think that the world that George R.R. Martin has created is very interesting, very compelling, and if you kind of like that stuff, I'm not even a big sword and sorcery type guy, but it's super interesting. And even the original premise, it's like, okay, so what if J.R.R. Tolkien told a more grandiose story and, got really into the weeds and some of the different issues, like, okay, what was the taxation plan of Gondor? What ended up happening with the rebuilding of Isengard in the aftermath? It's like, that's very interesting. But George, in order to tell a story that can rival that of Tolkien, you have to finish the goddamn books. Finish the books. You still apparently have 2 remaining. And guess what? It's always going to stay like that. I know I'm not breaking any new ground here by making mention that he's going to go down and his legacy is already written for him. The guy who didn't finish the books. It's been over 11 years. It's been over, at time of recording, 4,500 days since the release of A Dance with Dragons. My favorite little tidbit, okay, is that if you know anything, if you watched Game of Thrones or if you read any of the books, you know that, Daenerys Targaryen has been in Meereen since Bill Clinton was in office. That is my favorite little tidbit of information. She has been in there since that Storm of Swords. She's been in there since whatever book came out in 2000. Feast for Crows? I think it's Feast for Crows. He's got great names for books, okay? And even the ones that are planned into the future. Winds of Winter, A Dream of Spring. That's really good stuff. It's just, they're never going to materialize. Never going to show up on your bookshelves. I'm never going to listen about everybody breaking down all of the intricacies on them. We're just simply going to have to deal with the fact that you got a miserable old man who just can't reconcile with the fact that he needs to retire, hand over the pen to somebody else, and let them finish the goddamn books. Because no, instead of just wrestling with reality, the guy just has to go ahead and point fingers at everybody else for his own internal failings. George R.R. Martin laments the passing of rational discourse on film, music, and books via his stupid bitching blog. George R.R. Martin no longer finds the fun in debating about books, movies, and TV. Who made that discourse so untenable? Which side of the debate? The people that wanted to discuss logical plot lines, compelling characters, or the people that just decided we can't talk about that anymore because it's offensive and you're the wrong skin tone to be talking about that character? Interesting. He blames social media for toxicity that stifles any dissent. I would normally be on your side, but I know what you're going to be saying. The author behind the books that became the TV series, yes, Game of Thrones. Regrettably, the first 4 seasons, the first 3 seasons and some episodes are really good, and then the TV shows fall completely off the cliff because Dan and Dave just took all of the bullet points that George gave them and stopped communication with them from season 5 on. But Hardhome's really good. Yeah, the 20 minutes at the end of that episode. Does anybody remember that there was like half an hour to that show, or half an hour to that episode beforehand that's boring as hell? But the Night King raises his arms. It's really cool. It's like, yeah, that's the best battle you were ever going to get against them. Oh, yes, House of the Dragon. Please, season 2 be good. Please. There's 2 things that I look forward to in media. Okay, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, had to name check it again, and House of the Dragon Season 2, had to name check that again. Please be good. Martin lamented the passing of rational discourse on his blog. Which side? Which side are you talking about, George? Martin said he would typically take his mind off the real-world troubles with fictional stories found in books. Geez, like a lot of people did about a decade and a half ago. What changed? What changed, George? Do you want to point to it? Do you want to make mention of it? Or do you want to have zero self-awareness and continue to dig that hole deeper that we will never see out of? Now, we said people celebrate failures rather than great work. No. There are some people that are just going to have irrational hatred for certain things. And yes, they're just simply going to rain on the parade of everybody's failures. There are good things that don't make money. Okay, like Mission Impossible 7, what was that? Dead Reckoning Part 1, now no longer Part 1 because Part 2 is going to be something completely different. Okay, everybody was looking forward to that off the back of Fallout that came out a couple of years ago. Everybody was cheering for that. And then, well, the film wasn't very good, but nobody was celebrating its failure because, people like Tom Cruise, people like the Mission Impossible films. It didn't end up doing anything at the box office. Sucks to suck. But you know why nobody was cheering its downfall? You know why nobody was taking happiness with its failure? It's because the creators weren't shitting on the fans. It's because the people behind the camera, in front of the camera, don't have an overwhelming amount of contempt for the fan base. Tom Cruise, overwhelmingly supportive. He was going around to theaters thanking people for turning out and watching his film. Where you have other blatant failures in 2023. Take a look at the Marvels. Oh, everybody who made that a sub $200 million disaster. Hilarious. Oh, you're all racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes, transphobes, everything else under the yellow sun. So yeah, when that thing spectacularly failed, of course, everybody was going to cheer it on, because you don't reward behavior that is deleterious to your brand. How do you not get it? But oh, I think George probably gets it all too well, because what is something that his name is so inexorably attached to that failed so spectacularly, and then people cheered on its failure and lamented its ending? Oh, it makes more sense why he wants to be running defense for this stuff. Well, I take solace where I can, Martin said. In books, in film, and in television shows, even though toxicity is growing, it used to be fun talking about your favorite books and films. I've had spirited debates with fans who saw things different, but somehow in this age of social media, it is no longer enough to say, I did not like book X or film Y, and here's why. Now social media is ruled by anti-fans. Anti-fans, huh? Who would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love. Oh my God, he's manifesting a fatter version of Rose Tico. You don't destroy the things you hate. You have to protect the stuff that you love. Well, guess what? When everything that's coming out, and of course there's that 5% that's out there. Do I need to make my exceptions? Okay. When everything that comes out is utter dog shit, what the fuck are you supposed to talk about? Okay, compare it to the stuff that came out in the past that was good, that was enjoyable. But that little snippet right there, and we've actually got the full blog post because there's so much stuff that's on there. Okay, this came out at the end of January in the years past. I often do a not a blog post. That's the name of his blog. Okay, his WordPress document, whatever. On or about New Year's, looking back over the year that was ending and ahead to the year to come. This year, though, as I reflected on the year that we just lived through, 2023, it's actually a hell of a good year. It was a lot of fun, in fact. I had a great time, but no need to be solipsistic on this one. We need to go ahead and be empathetic with the fat multimillionaire. This year, though, as I reflected on the year that we just lived through, I found I had no appetite for living through any of this again. Oh my God, shut up. You have one of the greatest. Okay, and I will go ahead and throw this caveat over the top of it. He has one of the greatest lives ever. Okay, he is given all the credit for the success of Game of Thrones, and then Dan and Dave justifiably end up getting all the shit for the disaster that series ended up becoming. He's got one of the bright, shining beacons on the hill of premium television off in the near future in House of the Dragon. You have a bunch of different spin-off shows that you are working on. You are loved the world over, but I couldn't bear living through the disaster of 2023 again. It's amazing. It's amazing to have this level of negative gratitude. Like, here's something that I really like about George R.R. Martin. He created everything that he's reaping the benefits of right now. He is a self-made man. He worked his way up in the industry. He wasn't product of nepotism. He isn't somebody who has this vast network of connections, and he didn't offer a subpar script up to somebody that he knew. No, he grinded away. He worked his way up, and he created a future for himself that allowed him to get, a life-sized choo-choo train, fully functional Robbie the Robot. No, this just speaks to the losers that he surrounds himself with. 2023 was a nightmare of the year for the world and the nation, and for me and mine, both professionally and personally. And I'm very glad that it's over. Yeah, we all went through tragedies, okay? I lost a few family members and a couple of close family friends. There were a few health scares. Understand, and that's also what he's talking about. A bunch of his friends, ended up succumbing to different illnesses, and that's what happens when you're in your mid-70s, okay? Christ almighty, Carl Weathers just passed away at 76. It comes with the territory, and as somebody who's looking like George is, okay, I too would be concerned with the overall health of the year. There's war everywhere, Ukraine and God. Oh my God, bro, nobody cares. Or if they do, they have a more thought out stance than just simply war bad, war bad. Yeah, but there is a war in Myanmar, as well as our Western media just ignores. Things are heating up in Yemen and the Red Sea. North Korea has nukes, and this is just the rambling, incoherent stream of consciousness that you're likely to hear from a gender studies graduate. The people that George surrounds himself with, the type of people that he brought into this discussion, the type of people that have poisoned the well when discussing media is concerned. Meanwhile, the United States grows more polarized every day. Well, actually not, because it looks like when it comes to that political divide, one side is drastically losing support and the other one is very much gaining. You should go ahead and take a look at approval polls. But I guess you would perceive the world that way if you were rooting for the losing side. Hate is rising. Democracy is under threat. Oh my God, where, bro? In Ukraine? In Gaza? Millions of Americans have swallowed the lie that the 2020 election wasn't on the up and up. Bro, seriously calling back to TDS in 2020? Yo, man, this is why, oh my God. Okay, this is why if I was to ever make, a dedicated second channel on a certain topic, that's why I threw out wrestling, because they have this exact same problem with their fan base, or something more dedicated to A Song in Ice and Fire, because this is what you get. All of the big commentators that are out there, I could run down the goddamn list of them, and they're all soft as this fat sack of shit's underbelly. They all have a terminal case of Trump derangement syndrome. They might be able to break down a book. That's fantastic. But the moment that they start to just lean into a bit of commentary, they go completely off the rails. Newspeak has taken over political discourse. Cancel culture is destroying lives and careers. We'll come back to that very shortly. And we have a disgraced, indicted, venomous ex-president winning primaries despite openly declaring that he will be a dictator on day one. Oh my fucking, you're an author. You think that you'd be able to read what the motherfucker actually said. God damn it, man. And will govern on a platform of retribution when he's not too busy grabbing women by the just fucking retire. Just fucking retire, dude. Like I said, we'll be coming back to the cancel culture is destroying lives and careers. If you've listened to any of the breakdowns of the books, hell, if you watched the first couple of the seasons of the show that his works inspired, you would know George doesn't like to write politically correct stories. And because of the audience that he has cultivated for himself in an overwhelming majority, hell, one of the biggest conventions for A Song in Ice and Fire, Dragon Con, canceled their big meetup in, I think it was Miami or Orlando, something like that, last year because of, Ron DeSantis is attacking trans people with the Don't Say Gay bill. We have to cancel this for the health of the trans community. And I've seen that shit and I just wanted to fucking throw up in my own mouth. But those are the people that are willing to just go ahead and tear them apart if there's something that untoward that happens to Cersei. If they continue on with the Jane Poole line, what's going to happen in the Great Northern Conspiracy? Okay, how is she going to be used as a pawn? Can't use women as pawns anymore. That's outdated. That's misogynistic. And what about the only people of color that you have in your story are in a slave army for Daenerys, a straight white woman? Wonder why he's dragging his feet on this shit. This is the stuff that he has to wrestle with, because he knows that the backlash to the story points that he had given to Dan and Dave weren't received very well, mostly because they aren't nearly as talented of a writer as you are, that he doesn't want to face that same level of retribution, and that he also has to walk the tightrope of his toxic fans that don't want to discuss actual media anymore, are too busy looking at all of the superlative characteristics of the characters, the fictional characters in a fictional world, not being treated with appropriate levels of respect and dignity. Fucking retire, okay? If you're not having that much enjoyment, if you made negative progress, if you edited out 100 pages of Winds of Winter throughout all of 2023, just don't fucking do it anymore. Just, give it up. Give the pen to somebody else. Make out like Team 4 Star did, okay? Another famous example of somebody that, hey man, we just don't have passion for doing DBZ abridged anymore, which really sucks because that's something else that I was super passionate about. I remember exactly where I was when every single episode post season 2 dropped, okay? That was something that I looked forward to on a monthly basis when they would drop, but I even remember the last video that they made, was it DBZ abridged comes to an end. They had the black thumbnail with the white text that was on there, them explaining that, listen, man, we've been trying to get that Bardock special out for a minute, scripting, and we've been rescripting and rescripting and rescripting and casting people for voice acting, and, well, it was just passionless. We couldn't get it done, and we just, had to look inside each other, and yeah, we got a lot of source material that's out there. We could do the whole Majin Buu arc, okay? We could even go into Super after everything that was done. The world was at our feet. Hell, we could have even done, Dragon Ball. But we just didn't have the passion for it anymore. And yeah, huge backlash. They hemorrhaged hundreds of thousands of subscribers off of their 4.5 million subscriber channel. I think they might have peaked over 5 at one point or another. Now their channel is just, it's hilarious how, they kind of fell off and then eventually had to come back and do director's commentary for all of their previous releases on that. Now that they got to the end of that, I wonder if they had the itch that's back, but it's a very different company than the team that was making that content back in, oh my god, when did that series wrap up? 2018 or something like that? It's been a hot minute. Still highly recommend that. That shit is so goddamn funny. But they knew that the passion was gone. They knew that they just couldn't deliver at the same level that they used to, so they just simply decided to hang it up, and that's what George just fucking reconcile with that, man. It's already been written in the stars that you're going to be the guy that doesn't finish the book. You're going to be the guy who's just going to complain about dark days ahead, how Trump is a really bad man, and I need to tell the world how bad the Orange Man really is, and look at all of my friends that are dying. Feel bad for me because I don't know how to finish the books. I'm scared that people aren't going to like what I'm ultimately going to do with my magnum opus. Fucking sack up or stand on the sidelines, let somebody else finish the goddamn books and stop fucking complaining. You have a top tier life. The more that you continue to drag your stupid fat feet, the more people are going to fail to give you the benefit of the doubt, and it'll just simply become a self-fulfilling prophecy that the anti-fans are going to come and be toxic towards you. Be George R.R. Martin. Be the guy who created that compelling world from a song of ice and fire, and don't turn into George 2988. Ugh. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.